200. The one that has the 2 rooms, that's a 200 wing that's in between the and the science building, right? That weird. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we would like to welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled meeting. We already did the flag salute at our prior meeting, since we had a facility meeting that started at 6. We'd like to welcome all of our guests and anyone else that is Zooming or YouTubing in. As I said in the last meeting, so with the OPMA changes, Open Public Meetings Act, that the governor has allowed us to meet in person. I just wanted to explain a couple of details. There's actually a list of 16 qualifications that we still have to make sure that we're meeting. So we are in person as the board. We are Zooming, but it will look different than it has in the past. We are still putting it out in YouTube, both live and later on, whatever the next phrase is there. I'm not up on my YouTube lingo. My children would be embarrassed. And we are still allowing in-person audience and staff participation, but they need to pre-register so that people could still Zoom in and do public comment or be here in person or those kinds of things. So please, though, give us the grace when we have technical issues to realize we're still figuring this out. It's been a year since we as a board have been in person, so we have to mask and mic, and we're learning that that's a challenge. So just realized that sound is a little bit different. So I will, and Mike Garza is stuck in Texas and is trying to get home. He's had his flight canceled multiple times. So hopefully he'll be here next board meeting. Who knows? Anyways, so I get to conduct. So I will entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Okay, motion by Director Prowse.
I will second it.
Second by Director Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any nays? All right. So next is, we will move on to public comment. You might have to like flag me down if I'm doing something wrong. I just saw number 1. Okay, so I would like to read something though before we go to public comment. We do have one public comment today. The Othello School Board of Directors is committed to hearing and seeking input from the parents, teachers, and the community at large in a variety of formats. One of these formats is public comment at our regular scheduled board meetings. When your name is called, approach the front table if you're in person, or we'll unmute you on Zoom. Speak into the microphone, giving your full name and where you live for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We will have a timer. Be respectful of the board when speaking. Be ready to respond to questions from the board if asked. Address your testimony to the board members, not the audience. Do not address questions to the board. The board's goal for the public comment period is to hear your concerns, comments, and opinions. Questions can be answered through calls or letters to board members. Try to resolve any issues with teachers, school principals, or other district personnel before bringing the issue to the board. Recognize that the board does not discuss personnel matters at board meetings. Do your homework and understand the basic facts of the issue before addressing the board. Prepare an outline of your testimony so it is well organized and avoids repetition. The main purpose of board meetings is for the board to conduct its business in public. During that time, the board will be listening and learning from each other and those previously invited to provide input. So our public comment tonight is from Hannah Mose. Do you have a timer? Thank you.
All right, so my name is Hannah Mose. I live in Warden. So I'm just going to kind of read this so I get done in 3 minutes. So first, I want to thank you for seeing me in person. Today, I'm speaking for myself and also for a lot of staff at Wahidas. So over the weekend, we were made aware of some news about our past principal becoming a finalist as a superintendent on the West Side. Pete Perez has been there since the beginning of myself, Miss Mose. I was his high school helper. He was my evaluating principal at OHS when I long-term subbed. He helped me get my first job. He picked me out of tons of teachers to be a part of building Wahitas, and he was my mentor during my principalship. He guided me, he supported me. He taught me that it's okay to take a risk and try something new. Pete is a get your hands dirty, be in the trenches, research anything and everything to find the best for kids and teachers kind of leader. He leads by example, and if he doesn't know something, he will figure it out. He can see a problem, looks at the data, and finds experts to help us solve the problem. He is action-oriented. Pete is innovative and always searching for ways to strengthen our district. He wants what is best for our students and strives to give them the best opportunities possible. Like me, Pete is from here. He grew up here, chose to raise his family here, taught here, and has been a role model and mentor for many. He knows the community, the students, the families. He is part of the soul of the Othello School District. He knows what it means to rise from failure. As many have heard the stories of the first opening of Wahitas, to a couple years later and its 3 School of Distinction banners hanging up in our hallway. Pete built a strong team and unified teachers from across the district and turned us into die-hard Hawks. Pete knows the ins and outs of creating systems to help students learn and teachers teach. He builds strong teams and leaders. All those who have had the pleasure of working alongside him know exactly what I'm talking about. He coaches those that struggle and challenges those that he sees potential in. He asks hard questions and encourages us to push each other. He sets high expectations for us. Wahitas was born on a couple things that ring true to this day. We do what's best for kids, and we do whatever it takes. Even 5 years later, if I have a question, want some research to back something up, or a person to push my thinking, Pete is the man I can call or text. He has never given up on me or any of my students or team members at Wahitas. Even though I bear very little weight in this district, I am asking you as a board tonight to consider doing what's best for our kids and our staff. I fear that if we lose Pete, it would take some time to regain our footing or to begin to have any hope of being a unified school district versus a mere collection of schools that share little but the fact that we all reside in the same zip code. Pete may just be one man, but that man has built some pretty damn strong leaders and educators, for what I have incredible respect and support for. So I'm asking you to consider doing whatever it takes to keep a strong, homegrown leader in our district to continue to impact the lives of our students and staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. We are now going on to board member discussions. So first is legislative report. I had asked the board a couple of, I think it was 2 meetings ago, I'm not sure even now, about Senate Bill 5386. That is the bill that deals with changing a supermajority on levies to a simple majority. And 3 of the 5 of us wanted to have their name on a letter. And so instead of sending it to our Legislative District 9 representatives, I sent it to Senator Lisa Wellman. So I wanted to read the letter that I wrote, and then I'll find her response as well. She is the Senate leader on, it'll say in her response, because I don't want to mess up the title of her committee. So she also attended a WASDA webinar that she asked anybody that was from WASDA, Washington State School Directors Association, how to address learning loss. What were ideas? How can she support all of the districts throughout the state and those kinds of things? So it was like a 2-pronged letter. You attended last week's WASDA webinar to ask about how to help address the learning loss from COVID-19. I have an idea and a request. Our district, Othello School District number 147, is a rural, agricultural, and poor, more than 75% free and reduced lunch, district with 4,500 students. Only 66% of our students had Wi-Fi in some form, many substandard, before online learning became mandatory. We plan on having summer school at every campus, 7 of them, when in the past it has only been 2, 1 secondary and 1 primary. We would like help funding for that. As a board, we have discussed Senate Bill 5386 and the implications of this bill for our district. While only a supermajority of our board members, 3 of the 5, are in favor of this bill, we would like it to move out of committee. Please help to make this happen and the state legislature to have an opportunity to vote on this bill. Thank you for your time. Jen Stevenson, Othello School Board. Other board members in favor, Mike Garza and Lindsay Prowse. So then I received a response and wanted to read that. It'll take a second. Somewhere. Good morning, Jen. Thank you for reaching out to Senator Wellman regarding Senate Bill 5386. As chair of the Early Learning and K-12 Committee, Senator Wellman was proud to be part of the majority that gave this a do pass recommendation and sent it to the Ways and Means Committee. So it's not passed, but it's just moved out of committee. There was a deadline of President's Day that if a bill hadn't moved out of committee, it was considered dead or not with legs. And so it has moved out of that committee phase, of which Senator Wellman is also a member of. You can track the bill here to monitor its progress. Another bill you might be interested in is Senate Bill 5147, which is currently in the Ways and Means Committee and aims to create a pilot program to address learning loss. So a specific comment, and I actually read that and checked it out. It sounded great and would be financial support to the ideas that the district has already put forward. Additionally, House Bill 1162, which is currently in the House Rules Committee and aims to adjust high school graduation credits and pathways. And we've discussed actually that one before too. It just gives extra methods for graduation. Thank you for your advocacy on this very important issue, as it allows Senator Wellman to have a well-rounded view of other of her constituents' interests, and for your work on the Othello School Board. Senator Wellman sincerely appreciates hearing from her constituents, as she's proud to represent the diverse. Yay, I'm from 41, that's great. So that was her, Carmela O'Brien, her legislative intern. So I just wanted to update you. I know that that was not a full majority, a full board, but just to give you updates on that. And there are quite a few bills that have moved forward out of committee and things, and so I'll keep you updated on those. So, any questions? Okay. Our self-assessment, can you go into that? We did have 3 board members fill this out. The last question only had 2. One person skipped. So does it work for us to get this by email a day or 2 after the board meeting to fill out? I know that timing, Lindsay, you weren't here. You really couldn't have responded to this. How did the
Actually,
meeting go?
since we're in person, we're going to be able to fill them out right at the end of the meeting.
We can. Oh my gosh, you're right. I totally didn't even think about that, Ken. You're brilliant. So this will be much better. Hopefully we just stay in person and in phase 2. I don't know if we need to go into those details. So next thing, MMS board site visit, draft agenda. So, oh my goodness, can you make that much bigger font? Thank you. Okay, so this is next Tuesday. Right now, what they're proposing for us is we will be in person in the library, but Zooming. That might be difficult because we might have feedback. Anyways, I'll let you guys deal with the details because that's what you're good at, and we don't have a clue what we're doing, obviously, when we try to log in. So we'll start the staff interview for those that would like to attend from 7:30 to 8. Their staff time, teacher contract time, does not start until 7:45, so we may have a higher number from 7:45 to 8 and different things like that. But they will be Zooming from the room. There's no room large enough to accommodate them to be in person and us in person and to work with students that will be eventually on campus. So this is what they're proposing to us. At 8:15 to 8:45, so there'll be a small break there, we'll have the student meeting in the library. How they would like to give us students is, what they're proposing to us is, they would like their advisory teacher that is their subject chair, that might not be the right term.
Department head.
Thank you, department head, to pick one student from their advisory classroom so that we would have a wide variety. That would be about 10 students. That will be in person in the library. And then from 8:45 to 9:15, the admin will do their presentation to us in the library. Then from 9:15 until, can you scroll down? 9:45, we'll be doing classroom visits. There will be a break in between. It sounded like they were very open to whatever we wanted to do. We could, when we break up into our small groups, we could request places. They could have like a list of ideas for us, different things like that, depending upon who we're with and what we want to do.
Hey, Jen, real
Yes?
quick. Our student mentors or our student school board members, they're invited to this, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, for the whole time, as much as you're comfortable with coming, because I know that that will potentially mean that you'll be missing classes. For whatever you're able to come, yes, please. 9:45 to 10:15, they would like to do all the classified in person in the Commons. They'll be like released from their rooms for those that are interested. So all of the staff, they think they can accommodate all of us in the Commons to be able to do that. And then they would like to do a second staff interview from 11:15 to 11:45, where we're all Zooming from work, home, wherever we may be. Don't have to be in the building for that. That's during the staff's lunchtime, knowing that we might get none, we might get all, we might have duplicates, we might not. So this was a suggestion that they had for us. Thoughts, modifications?
I don't know, it looks good to me.
So at
It's a
10:15,
good plan.
oh, sorry, so at 10:15, we go home, and then we can Zoom at 11:15, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we don't bring these to the library because we're just going to be on a normal Zoom. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or thoughts? Are we good with all of that plan?
I'm super good with it. But I have one question. As far as the admin presentation time, so I have heard that because it feels a little redundant, that they do that with us at the school and then they come to the school board meeting to do it. Is that something that like we have to do, or would our time be better spent doing something else? And I'm not saying that right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm easy, but I just had heard the complaint that like it feels a little redundant to say all that stuff to the school board, to give the presentation, and then come to a school board meeting and give the exact same presentation. So I'm just curious.
I think that's a question that's been asked of me also, Director Prowse. I think it's really up to the board. If the board decides that they want to forego that presentation, I'll go back and share with the principals and see what they say. I'm sure that they'll probably be okay with that. I know one of the conversations I've had with the principals is that the difference in the content of the presentations, one at the school site and then here, and they didn't want to do anything different, and they just thought that was extra work. So they really wanted to, if they're going to do a presentation at the school site, then let it be the same presentation they're going to give to the public, with the exception of the feedback that they may get from the board at the school site. We have a principal here. Any thoughts on wanting to forego that presentation?
To me, that would be very nice. That way we could maybe spend a little bit more time with either staff members or do some extra classroom walkthroughs.
I agree. I think if we take the opportunity to spend time together, whether even if that's just a time for admin and the board to spend together, or whether it's staff and admin or students, I think that's really where relationship time is really useful versus doing a presentation that we're already going to hear a second time. I
And
mean,
I'll
if it's the way that it's done and it has to be done that way, then I'll go with it. But if I would prefer to spend the time.
And I welcome to hear from Sandy as well. Any thoughts, Sandy?
I really like that idea, and I think that would be acceptable for other principals as well. That time to be able to get in classrooms and we be able to see more, and then share that one presentation. I think that would be great.
Okay, so if that's okay with the board, I can go back to the principals, just share with the principals. Just one presentation for the board
That
and the
would
public.
be
Definitely.
great.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So since this would leave like a 30-minute time in the current plan, because what do we want to do with that time? Do we want to skip the 5th period and add like a 3rd period and a 4th period visit? Or,
Could we still add 15 minutes somewhere? Just cut the time down in half, because I would still like to spend about 15 minutes with administration to talk to them when we're not in a open.
so not in a presentation
Yeah, not a
format, just a
presentation,
very
so we could sit down
informal.
and discuss with them wants, needs, how things are going and stuff like that, just with administration. It'd be nice
So-
to still have that time with them.
Point is heard. Is it okay if I go back to Jessica just to confirm her schedule, just to make sure there's nothing else going on
Yes.
at the time? Okay.
Okay, so more of an admin discussion instead of presentation?
Yes.
Oh, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
And for 15-ish, however, okay,
Yeah.
awesome. If that's great with her, I think we're all definitely on board with that, and sounds like the 2 principals in the room agree with that so far. Okay,
Question
yes.
over here. Is there any classrooms in specific that the board would like to visit?
Do you want me to make my list now, personally?
Go for it.
I would like to see a sped classroom. I would like to see music. And these are just personal. I mean, I don't have to haul all of you with me, whatever. Of course, art. I have to ask my son what he has for 4th period and 5th period.
I'd like to see math.
Those are where my specifics. Okay, and Jessica texted Chris and said she's great with that plan. So. Any other requests for classes or anything?
I think Elise
Nope.
has a question. Yeah.
Okay, do we have to ask to get, to go to the site visit? Do we have to ask for it to be an excused absence to the school?
I typically send a message to the school secretary, just letting them know to excuse you.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome question. Those little details that we as parents and board members don't think about. But your principal and vice principal are in the room watching. No pressure. Okay, anything else? So this is next Tuesday. So typically we had in the past like a breakfast with parents. That's just not in a COVID world. Something we're still putting in there. So hopefully that will return, and we would love to have parents attend all of the parts. Okay. All right. I think we're ready to move on to student rep reports.
One second. Okay. So I only got responses from a couple of the schools for reports, so I'll read you what they gave me. So at the preschool, they're super glad to be back in person, and their kids are loving the playground and their new site. So they're also beginning midwinter assessments, and they're seeing some great gains in their students. Every day the students are engaging in hand-on activities to build their fine and gross motor skills, social skills, emotional skills, and various academic skills such as letter and number recognition, patterns, sorting, colors, counting, and beginning reading. At Scootney, One second, let me find the email. They're glad to be back. The one fun thing they've been doing is something called star reports. So I'm just going to read you what they said on that. They said their students collaborate to put together a news report each week, and they plan and record the content with some of their teachers, and Mr. Killian puts it together for them. So I would have shared that. It's a video. I would have shared it, but I waited too long to ask for the reports. So I didn't do that, but next time I definitely will. At DOHS, they are having some good student behavior, and their staff is working to motivate their students to pick up momentum from where they left off prior to COVID. They are tracking weekly percentage of students attending school on a regular basis. Last week, their weekly attendance for total for AM and PM was 77% for AM and 90% for PM. So they're working on that, I guess. Their ASB elections are coming up in March, and they're encouraging their students to run for positions. Their second round of STAR testing is complete, and they're getting ready for an upcoming ELPA assessment, and they're setting dates for their ESPA. They've also started working with OHS for what their schedule could potentially look like next year. At MMS, they had a dress up day on the 11th, and that was Dress to Impress. They're also doing well with wearing their masks and social distancing as best as they can. And their students are really excited to start sports, and they're getting all signed up for that. Okay, one second while I find Ludakaga, because it's in a different spot. Okay, they're gearing up to start their Dr. Seuss week, the first week of March. And they said they'd love for some board members to read a book on a video and share it with Miss Alta Duton via her school email, which I can get and send it to anybody who wants it. And then they also shared pictures with me, and I didn't have time to get them sent in. So I'm working on that. That's all I have, and Lauren's going to share for OHS.
Hi, am I close enough? Closer? Can you hear me? Okay. So I will be talking about OHS. This week is a spirit week. So today was Messy Monday, was Pajama Day, and that just woke up look. Tomorrow's Twin Day, then we have Color War Day, where each grade is assigned a different color, and you wear your color to represent your grade. Thursday is Sports Day, and Friday, of course, is Husky Pride. Our first football game is this week. We're away at Pullman, and next week will be our first home game. Volleyball is doing super great. You can watch all of their games through a live streaming service, as I'm sure the majority of you know. And besides that, I think this is week 5 of in-person, right? 5? Yes. And I think it's going great. Everyone's figured out their scheduling, and we are abiding by our COVID safety guidelines because we want to stay there. We love being back. So thank you.
Any questions for any of the student reps? Did you have something else, Elise?
Yeah, I thought of something. I think we've told you guys about our survey that we sent out to get some student input. We've got some responses. I think we're still waiting for it to be sent to the high school, and then we'll start sharing what information we get from that.
Yeah, we haven't gotten it as high schoolers, but we have 707 responses so far.
How
So
many?
707. So we have a lot to comb through.
Awesome.
That's not including high school, so just
That's
what, 6th to
great.
8th grade?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Elise, we would love to see the STAR reports and of their photos. And I have questions about the Dr. Seuss thing, because did everyone get that email today? How do we record a video and send it? We're the least, I think we're probably some of the least techie people. We're not the people who have a clue what we're doing. Can we get some help?
The school had purchased a district license for Screencastify. So as long as you have an email ending at othelloschools.org, you should be able to have that ability to record yourself. So you guys would use your Chromebooks, and be able to launch the Screencastify extension that's on there. And I can show you guys how to do that. So.
Can you make a video of how to do that and send it to us by email?
I will. I'll make a video and show you how to do it.
Please,
But
like Ed did for how to do our email things, because there was no way. That'd
yeah,
be
so
great.
you would just go in there, you would click on it, you would say, you know, you would record using your webcam, and then you would just read your book, and then when it was done, you just hit the stop button, and it would create you that video and into your Google Drive, where then you will share it out with that teacher. And she has the option of whether to download it or just use the shared link, and she'll be able to show her class. So
Did everybody else need that question too?
Is it the little green box? at the-
it would be a yellow arrow or like an orange arrow.
It's
and
kind of
just-
pink.
Just kidding then.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys need help, feel free to send me an email or some, you know, I think you all have my cell phone number, so give me a call.
Okay.
And I'll definitely walk you guys through it.
I have a question. The videos and pictures that I get sent from principals, how should I send them to you guys? Like, is there a way we can get it put into the agenda, or I don't know.
That's a great question.
Oh, was that a question for me? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. None of us know who to ask. Who would be the
Do you wanna
answer?
sorry, you want to repeat your question?
Yeah, so the principals, I just email them to get reports that I share with the board, and so a lot of the time they'll send me pictures and videos. And so I was just wondering, like, should I just share them to your guys' emails, or can we get it added to the agenda and we can share them on there?
If you just send them to Talia or Yessie, then we'll make sure that we get it to the board, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, any other questions for the student reps? Or any other requests that we've already been given that to show how technically unskilled we are publicly? Yeah, okay. All right, I think we are ready to move to C1, required approvals. I have a few questions before we go to approving these. Let's start with accounts payable. Can you go into that? So every month I see these and I know what they're for, but I wanted to ask some more questions this time. For CBC, Columbia Basin College, I know that we get Big Bend questions, or not questions, financials as well. This month it is for $39,000. I wanted to know, because I know that that is for Running Start. How many students does $39,000 cover? And where is that funding come from? Is that just our basic education funding, extra funding? And let's start there.
So Jen, it's the Columbia Basin College. It's for Running Start. I don't have the number of students. It comes off of our enrollment report. We receive apportionment for the dollars that we pay to the college. So it's a flow-through situation where we receive the funding and then we pay the college based on the students' full-time status at the college. We are allowed to keep 7% of the funding for administrative costs, but it comes in our monthly apportionment report.
Okay. So I was just shown the details. That's 49 students equals $39,000 per month. So I just wanted to have those numbers. I see that every month and was like, want the details. So the next one, $12,000 for Skill Source. Now I assume that this is the Tier 4. When we went to Desert Oasis, they talked about Tier 4. Those students that Desert Oasis and Othello High School are just not able to reach. It's $12,000. I see a bill every month from Skill Source. I wanted to know details as to how many. Is that another apportionment where we just get money from the state and federal government and it's just a pass-through system? How many students does 12,000 a month cover?
It's for 18 students. And again, it's based on enrollment. It comes through our apportionment. We have an interlocal agreement with this skill source to provide the services to the kids. And the funding is based actually the same funding level as the Running Start. So the money comes in based on what we report for our enrollment. Actually, they send us the number and we report it. The money comes into the district and then we pay it out to them.
Okay,
Okay, I have a question. So Becky, just for CBC, it's roughly $40,000. Is that a quarter or is that a month?
I believe it's a month, but I would have to look at the invoice.
See what I mean?
Some,
the
it
important
depends
stuff
on how
is
the
possible.
college bills. If I would have to look and see if it was last month. Hold on just a second. I have accounts payable on my computer.
Because my thought, if that's monthly, that's more than tuition. Like tuition
Well,
for a
it's-
quarter at CBC is like $1,200 a student.
It's not more than tuition. So let me look at the statement.
So if we're paying that monthly, that seems excessive.
Different colleges bill differently.
I think we have people looking at it from both sides, here and there.
So let's see, Columbia Basin. We have lots of C's that we pay.
Lots of what?
C. The letter C in that list,
Oh.
there's a lot.
Don't quote me on the tuition price.
So according to accounts payable, it is also, it's Running Start, and it looks like it is for February, but there's all, the Running Start is a part of that invoice, and then there's the dual credit, which means that we serve the kids in our high school, but they get college credit. The dual credit money, I believe, is for the last school year. But let me clarify it, and then I will give you a detailed response by when I can look at the invoice.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my next question is Verizon for 17,000. I'm assuming that a huge chunk of this is for the hotspots. I know we've had anywhere from 9,000 for a month to 60,000 for a month to cover hotspot usage for the Wi-Fi. I would like to know like the long-term plan for the hotspots.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. So the hotspots is based on the distant learning needs of the kids. And I would assume that administration will have a plan on how the hotspot will be maintained or managed as the kids come back to school. But we also have a OSPI grant in the neighborhood of $140,000 to help pay this bill.
The 140,000 is for the year?
It's for the year,
Okay. And then the long-term plan, Rigo, for, since you're sitting there holding a microphone, I assume you'll be answering this question?
Yeah, so the long-term plan for this is to kind of satisfy one of the board requirements on EL12 is trying to find an anytime, anywhere type solution. So our plans for these hotspots moving forward, once everything gets back to normal, is we're going to have these in our libraries for students to check out. We'll keep track of them via our Destiny library management program, and students will be able to check these hotspots out to continue to do their homework at home if they have any homework that they're needing to complete. That's where the majority will go. We'll cancel a few, so I'll have to get with the teaching and learning team to figure out a good number on how many to keep at each school. But that's the plan we have for those MiFi devices. The nice thing about these MiFi devices, we're able to cancel these for 3 months to where we won't get billed for those 3 months. So we're able to shut the devices off for 3 months, not with no internet service, which we typically will do during the summertime, so we don't have to pay that. And then that 4th month, we'll have to turn it back on, which would be at the beginning of the school year. So we did have that as part of an option too, so that way we're not spending all that money during when they're not being used. So.
Great, because I know that we have, not substantial, but we have students that are still doing completely online at home, and it's totally essential. And many students, like I said in the email, 33% of our students did not have Wi-Fi of any sort before anyways. So, okay, I wanted to make sure that we had a long-term plan.
When are they collecting those to like take back to the library? Is that going to be at the end of this school year or sooner than that?
The plan is to collect them with the Chromebooks at the end of the year.
Okay.
And then from that, during the summertime, we will, again, turn off the devices, and then we'll be able to sort them out and which devices will go where. And then we'll just keep track of it that way.
Perfect.
So.
Thank you.
Okay, my last financial question, WASDA. We are paying WASDA, which is Washington State School Directors Association, $9,000 this month. And I know that last month I asked the WASDA question, and that was $12,000 to pay for our yearly membership. So what are we paying $9,000 for this month?
So Jen, WASDA offers lots of different services, but the membership for the school district is actually required by RCW, and it's established to support school boards and be a resource to school boards. And the $9,000 that the district's paying this month is for board docs, which is what is the management of the software that we're using as we speak.
So that's annual?
That's annual,
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on anything that we are for required approvals? I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I will make a motion to approve the required approvals.
Motion by Director Prowse,
I will second it.
second by Director Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I'm supposed to say passes with 4-0, huh? Okay, so first one I said that for. Okay, next we are going to February 2021 accounts payable warrants number 2. Entertain a motion to, unless there's questions. Motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve the accounts payable warrants too.
Do you want me to second it now?
Sure.
Okay, I'll second it now.
Okay. Motion by Director Prowse, second by Director Schutte. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will have to abstain from this.
Okay, so we have a 3-0 yay and 1 abstention. Is that close enough to, okay, great. All those little details. All right, moving on to C3. Oh, wait, yeah. Superintendent informational items.
Before we entertain any questions,
Yes,
is it okay if we introduce?
please. I'm glad you caught
So
me up.
to the board and to the public, we'd like to introduce a new assistant principal, Catherine Atchison, who's our new assistant principal at Othello High School. She's on Zoom. So we're going to have her come and just introduce herself. Welcome, Catherine.
Hi, thank you for having me. I look forward to coming in July and working with you guys. I've been watching and getting caught up on the school board meetings and such, so it's been fun to watch from afar.
Wonderful, welcome. Where
Thank
are
you.
you currently at?
So I grew up in Gig Harbor, and I currently work in Tacoma Public Schools, and we'll be coming over and starting in July with you guys.
Yay! Congrats.
Yes.
I'm sure that there are some that are thrilled to have you coming and wish sooner. I'm getting nods from the audience. Yeah. So
I wish I could. There are times when I am ready to come over to the east side. I'm over on the east side a lot. We have family or friends that are in Moses Lake, so we're kind of in that general area a lot. So we are looking forward for a change.
great. Thank you for reminding me on that one. I have it in my notes, but I'm not reading them apparently. And we just also passed the OEA MOU Part 2. I'm so glad that that is done and that we're ready to move forward. All right. Agreed. Financial report, unless anything else. Okay. Financial report from the district for January 2021. Does anyone have any questions or specifics? I do. Can we go to page 4? And then you'll need to make that much larger. Thank you. So the 3-year comparison, and this is probably a Becky question or someone else, and I don't remember who I asked this question to long ago. It could have been Becky at one of your other interim spaces or someone else. Consistently every year this looked about the same. Last year it looked dramatically different because OSPI was distributing funds differently, and so we were following like a different path. Like every year it looked like the orange, it was just slightly higher than the year before. So we were told that green was going to kind of be like the new path to look, and this year is purple, and it doesn't look like green in following the same highs and lows and such. Some of it follows and some of it doesn't. Can someone explain?
We've spent 2.4
So
million
Jen,
last year for improvements.
just the fund balance.
So
Things
Move.
that we knocked off on our list earlier.
do you think that is that the reason why?
So there's a couple of things. One is that apportionment comes in at different levels. It doesn't come in as equal payments every single month. And also, if we are billing the grants on a regular basis, the fund balance stays more level. We had the COVID ESSER grant that the district had put some dollars out, and we billed the grant. And because of the structure of the grant, we had to wait a little bit. That was February. But more impactful to this fund balance is the money that we have moved from the general fund to capital projects. So in the prior years, those transfers were not happening. And so again, in 1920, we moved $1.5 million to capital projects. And then this year we've moved about 900,000. So that is why that fund balance has primarily why the fund balance is reduced.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. And Ken, you're always
Is
right.
that as clear as mud?
I'm not sure if everyone else heard that. Ken said that that's why. So, any other questions on the financial? Okay. We are ready to move on to C4, pre-approved presentations to the board. You get to sit here for so long, almost an hour, and now you get to come and talk to us. You were just here to answer the student reps' questions on.
All right, good evening, everybody. If you want to go ahead and go to the next slide, please. All right, so this first slide shows our academic competencies at Othello High School. And this is a comparison of the fall of 2019 to the fall of 2020. And our staff worked really, really hard over the summer going to training, and they were trained on the Core 4. And what that is Screencastify, which you guys will be learning here real quickly. It's very easy, so don't worry about that. If I can do it, you guys can do it. Talking points, which is a communication piece between our staff members and our family members. And Google Classroom, and also with Zoom. And the reason why we wanted to do that is that in the spring, when we ended up closing our schools on March 17th, is that our teachers were not trained in online education, and our students were not trained on how to learn online. And so we wanted to make sure that both groups were trained to be able to do a little bit better in the fall. One other thing that we attribute this to is the SEL component, that we spent a lot of time in the classrooms working with our students and just trying to get to know them better through Zoom, more or less. We also had some SEL items for our staff members as well. One thing that we did do is we did split our Zoom sessions in half to try to lower the number of students that teachers would have contact with at any one given time, just trying to get that SEL piece in there as well. One other thing that I wanted to mention, and Jim's going to go over this in just a little bit too, is that these numbers are very, very close. And one thing that helped out with that was when we changed our grade scale from 0 to 100 to 50 to 100. It increased a lot of the engagement that our students had, and gave some of our kids some hope that we're kind of struggling.
Next slide, please. So as Mr. Schwartz mentioned, we put in a training of Google Classroom Talking Points, Screencastify, and Zoom. And I want to mention by name Paul Auerslin, Tiffany Auerslin, Ann Campbell, Antonio Estrada, and Megan Haight for putting those trainings together. They built all of the Screencastifies, so if you listen to the recording, you know who to call. Anyway, those went over really well, because as Mr. Schwartz mentioned, when we got the COVID surprise, we didn't know much about online teaching and learning. And so we had to scramble to get that up and going. And I think we were quite successful at that. The new high school grading policy has been quite a topic of conversation, both in the community, amongst the board, and amongst the teachers. But I can assure you that it did not change the amount of work or effort that students take to earn the grade. What it did is it shift the emphasis from transaction to a reflection of the learning. And it gave a lot of the students who were struggling some hope, and that hope increased their engagement. And so they could see a pathway to success. And we know from research studies that offering students a pathway to success is a best practice. The second part that I think we did, and I'm very excited about what Mr. Schwartz has planned for next year, but we did a freshman orientation day where we had only freshmen on campus. And again, I probably have to do a shout out for our Honor Society kids, our ASB students, one more group, leadership kids who came in. It was kind of a Mr. Rogers day. They all had masks that said helper. So look for the helpers, and they help students acquaint with the freshmen. And I think we have to remember too that this year a lot of our sophomores were kind of like super freshmen, because they'd only had a few months on campus. So they came back to a campus that they really didn't know. And I have to admit, I spent the first 6 months here trying to find my way around our campus, because it's kind of confusing and there's no signs. The first day of instruction Well, after the freshman orientation day, we had a first day of all students on campus, and we offered an additional 60 minutes of advisory, kind of going over policies and procedures. We also offered an opt-out program for students who, for whatever reason, were not comfortable coming back to campus in person. And as of February 5th, we had 66 students involved in that.
All right, so we're going to move on to graduation and advancement. Currently at OHS, we have 14 classes that are either college and high school classes or AP classes. That varies just depending on student requests. So at this point, if that were to continue for the next 4 years, our students could earn up to 70 college credits, which is almost the equivalent of an AA. An AA would actually be 90 college credits, so, and that's without even leaving campus. Freshmen do have an opportunity to earn college credit with our AP Human Geography course. There's also one course that sophomores can earn college credit for, but most of the classes are for our juniors and our seniors. Currently, we have 85.6% of our seniors on track to graduate. Our counseling department does a great job of monitoring those students and consistently talking with them and their parents to make sure that they both understand which classes that they do need to pass, and to make sure that they're monitoring their progress very, very carefully. The fourth and sixth bullets are both graduation requirements. So each student that graduates from Othello High School must take a financial literacy course and also finish their high school and beyond plan. Kind of going back to our 4 and 5 year graduation rates. With our 4-year graduation rate, for the last 3 out of 4 years, Othello High School has either equaled or passed the state average. And 2 out of the last 3 years, our 5-year graduation rate has surpassed the state average as well. Go to the next one, please. All right, up at the top, the mobile market, we have partnered with Second Harvest out of Tri-Cities. And what they do is they bring boxes of food to Othello High School usually. And usually they have 300 boxes of food. Sometimes they have more to distribute out to families in need. The next time that they will be in Othello will be March 23rd, which will actually be in the Walmart parking lot. And then the next time they'll be at Othello High School will be on April 8th. Thank you. If you could stay on the previous one, please.
So some of the other activities we've been participating in, at the beginning of the year, we had a staff training on ACEs and PACEs, and ACEs are adverse childhood experiences, and PACEs are positive childhood experiences. A lot of students come to us after experiencing trauma, and there's specific things teachers can notice and specific things teachers can do as actions to help mitigate those in the classroom. We also established a counselor's corner where our counselors provide social emotional support to both staff and students. One of the aspects of social SEL is adult SEL, and so helping adults be prepared and calm enough to help students with their issues. We did a soft start at the beginning of the year where we spent a lot of time with students working on goals and objectives. And I think that also is an evidence-based best practice when students know the pathway to success and know what's expected to them, and those expectations are consistent across the system, they do better. Late fall, I guess it was, we did Zoomy Awards. We have 60 odd teachers, and each of them gave out between 5 and 7 Zoomy Awards. Mr. Schwartz, the math teacher, so I'll let him throw out the total number. And we also had our leadership students, and I believe some of the ASB students do a COVID video outlining our protocol, and that was very well received. Again, I think I mentioned it before, I did get caught laying down on the job, but hopefully I'll get past that. And then we also have an advisor meeting on Mondays where teachers come in and give administration feedback on the previous Friday's lesson. And then Tuesday, we meet as a small staff and build on what we learned from the teachers to make better lessons.
All right, if we can go on to the next one, please. Thank you. So personal responsibility and citizenship. The bottom two bullets there, in the fall, we had no students on campus. So our 9th grade and entire high school were both at 100% for students without suspensions or expulsions. I did want to mention that we did have a few Zoom bombers that made things interesting for us, but we dealt with that and talked with parents, and that pretty much stopped right at the beginning of that. Our OHS daily average attendance rate in comparison to last year, our mid-year rate was 92.8% compared to last year, which was 92%. OSPI allowed us to, well, the entire state, in fact, to do attendance in a little bit different ways, whether a student either logged into Zoom or Google Classroom or sent an email or called the teacher. That's how we were taking attendance, so that's how that rate was calculated. And if you want to go ahead and go on to the next one, the last one here is a video, and if this is online, this is a wonderful video. The song was by Alicia Keys, and there are many school-age children that sing the song, and it just gives thanks and speaks to educators and first responders as to how good of a job that they were doing and kind of the items that they were going through at that time. That's the end of our presentation, if there are any questions.
Roughly, how many students do you have enrolled at OHS right now?
We're just a little bit below 1,200. I believe we're about 1,187.
Okay.
Okay, you mentioned you had 66 students that opted out. And how are they doing? Are they still maintaining great grades? Do they have the opportunity to come in if they need to and meet with individual teachers? And
So they're doing Odyssey Wear, which is all online. We have one of our teachers from MMS, which is actually heading that program. So they can Zoom with her, or they can give her a call or email her. If they would like, they do have the option to be able to come in. We do have an academic evening school in the library at the high school from 5 to 7, so they're more than welcome to come on in. They're making very good progress. In fact, they are to make goals with that particular teacher, and she is to keep them up to date as far as if they're meeting those goals and if how their progress is doing. In fact, I was emailing her back and forth a little bit today, and she was mentioning that she's going to be sending out kind of a progress report as far as the percentages go and whatnot as to the parents to where their students are actually at.
wonderful, great.
Yeah, and the students do need to come on campus to be able to do their testing. The assignments and the quizzes can be done at home. If a student or a family member or parent, I should say, decides that they want to come back to OHS, they're gonna wait until midterm, which is March 31st, I believe, and they can come back and do in person if that's what they want to do.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I decided this year I wanted to come up with a 1 or 2 words to describe a campus. And after talking to your staff and knowing the challenges of the staff and the students in coming back, I can't help but use the word dedicated. I know that it wasn't highly, not all of your staff were excited about being back in person, and that being online is not fun either, but that they have all been dedicated, doing their job, doing the best that they can at it. And I know that describes like all of the staff, so that includes you guys as well. You know, new challenges, new things, but they've still been at it, chipping away, doing the best that they can. And so dedicated is the word I would like to use for OHS this year. So thank you.
I would just have to definitely say thank you to you and your staff. I'm hearing on the news constantly that there's a lot of high schools out there that haven't even brought students in yet. And like you said, we're already 5 weeks in, and we're doing it safely, and we're getting it done. And I really appreciate it because it took all your guys' help to do that.
Thank you.
I am so thrilled that they're back in school. I actually was lucky. I got to take your spot, Lindsay, and I went to visit yours and mine, and I got to visit more teachers, and it was so interesting. And it's so great to see how some of these teachers, what they're putting out there for the students. And I think we're on a roll here. Hopefully we get back to full time. I know, I'm
I
always.
agree.
I know. Soon, right, Lindsay?
Yeah. I just want to apologize for missing out, because I really think that I did miss out by not being there and being a part of the site visit. I was out of town, but I just want to echo what they're saying about thank you. Thank you for putting your best foot forward. Thank you for doing the work. I know that not everybody's happy. I know that this is difficult times. I have been an advocate for kids being back in school from the beginning. Like me or hate me, it's only because that's what I think is best for students, because I think your teachers are great and I think you guys are great, and I wanted kids in front of their teachers, and I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for putting out the work, because it's very easy to push back and say we're not going to do it and refuse the calling, and I'm just so grateful that you're doing such a great job, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Student reps, if you'd like to say something, you're welcome, but you don't have to.
I'll just say thank you for getting us back to school, and I think majority of students are very glad to be back, and it benefits us greatly to be there in person. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing us back and making it possible for us to be there. I lost a lot in my senior year, but I'm glad to be on campus for 18 weeks. So thank you for helping us do that.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Dr. Wood, or Mr. Wood, for showing everyone what 6 feet looks like and laying down on the job. Just for those that didn't understand, he had to show everyone what 6 foot is, even though he's 6'4", right? 6'4", right?
6'4".
Okay, great. Scrunching, right. So, okay, anything else for OHS report? Thank you very much for everything that you guys do. Okay, we are ready to move on to G1, upcoming events. Currently, we only have our McFarland Middle School site visit next Tuesday starting at 7:30 in the morning, and we will meet in the library. Next, we're going to our board self-assessment, and we're taking it now. Oh my gosh, so exciting to be in person.
Do our student reps do the self-assessment?
Yes, please. Okay, so is that all of us? That's not yet, right? Okay, we're still waiting? Okay.
Jen, I forgot to do the last one last time. That was me.
Okay. Great, Rigo's gone too.
This is what happens when you try and
Okay. Crystal can do it for us. It should be, yes.
Just kidding. Figured it out. There's Ruth.
Just want you to get some steps in. She might just have to have it in. Are we still waiting for one more to finish? Okay. We'll try to refresh. Okay, awesome. You're going to definitely have to make that big. This side of the room, the screen is not the same size as that side of the room. Okay. The agenda was well planned. Oh dear. Can I put that on my screen? You might have to do something. I might go over there and read it. Okay. 6 said commendable. Followed our agenda, not sidetracked. 1 said good, 5 said commendable. Deliberations and process or decision making was public. 6 said commendable. Everyone participated, no one dominated. 1 said good and 5 said commendable. Listened attentively, avoiding side conversations. 2 said good, 4 said commendable. No comments. Actions occurred at policy level. 5 said yes, 1 said not applicable. Referenced policy in the agenda. 5 said yes, 1 said not applicable. Chair efficiently conducted meetings. 6 said yes. Board supported superintendent in any reasonable interpretations. 3 said yes, 3 said not applicable, with no comments there. So all of these are not applicable because we didn't write any new policies. Oh, we had a 5 rating with 2 comments. Okay. Great job, Jen. Glad to be back in person with all of you. Thank you. And yes, and woohoo, in person was so fun. Yes, that is awesome. I love that we have 100% participation on that. That is going to be a weird habit to get past. Right. Okay. And I think we are ready to adjourn our meeting, and we will see you all in 2 weeks or so.
How about Tuesday?